Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Racers Driving League for Season 16. Welcome to the official team draw. I'm your host, Zach Rossi, alongside me once again, as he has been for the last season or so, it is the Season 11 Racers Driving League champion, Touch Me Pope. Good evening, Pope. It is so good to hear your voice again, mate. How are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Obviously, I had to miss the last race of the season where we had the declaration of C110P fan being our Season 15 Drivers' Champion, so a huge congratulations to him on that. But I'm excited, I'm ready to go for this next season. I've been on about it for most of the end of last season about how exciting this season will be with all the new drivers that joined us at the end of Season 15, starting fresh, as well as all the other drivers going back down to 0 points. But I think there's a change for the points, isn't there, Zach, for this upcoming season?
Indeed there is, my friend. So, the new change going into season number 16, it has been confirmed by the higher-ups in the Racers Driving League. So, a change in the points format. So, for this season onwards, the drivers who finish in the top 8 of a Grand Prix will score points. It's going from ranging from 10 points down to 1. No more point fastest lap. We're going back to the late 2000s point system. And Pope, that should hopefully give us a bit of a closer championship, because obviously less points on offer, less of a gap between those points. So we could see even more chance at a repeat of the Websy versus Fan finale in Brazil, should we go to Brazil with the last race.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this change. It's been a long time coming as well. We know how much the higher-ups in RDL love their 2000s F1. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see this change. And it makes it a lot easier for us, not counting up to 300, but probably more, like 100. Yeah, these drivers are going to have to challenge each other more. And I think it does help with how close this grid has become over the past few seasons. So each point now matters, each position now matters, and hopefully we don't see people barrel into the pit lane at the end of the race to try and get that fastest lap. No more of that, which would be quite nice to see.
Of course, one other change coming into it, a bit more on the assist side of things. So the return of full traction control to the league. So drivers will now have the option to use the maximum setting for traction, which hopefully give a bit more control out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it, how hard these cars are to control, especially on the curbs. I think that's something that's very prominent. I'm just getting back into the driver's seat of the Formula 1 cars here on F123, and I am struggling with the traction a little bit, just because I've not raced in a while. But I think this change is going to just help keep the cars pointing in a straight line and add some more competitive racing, which is what we want to see.
Definitely, and of course, we could not ask for a more competitive lineup of drivers. So the way we're going to do this, sorry Pope, I'm sort of gone off on a different idea here. So we'll go through it team by team in terms of Constructors' Championship order, and we'll announce the driver lineup as opposed to giving the lap and then the team. So just the other way around this time. Is that all good with you?
That's more than fine with me.
Okay, just makes it a bit easier on us in terms of how we do things. So first up, the new pairing in our reigning Constructors' Champions, that team being Mercedes, who took the title over second place Alfa Romeo last season. The new lineup for the reigning Constructors' Champions is Shane and Arsenal fan. Pope, there's your first lineup. What do you think?
I'm very excited to see how they'll do. I think Shane showed some glimpses of incredible pace last season. I think, was it Monza where he did unbelievably well. Obviously had to barrel out because of a connection issue. It was such a shame to see that. So I think Shane could do something here. We know how fast that Mercedes is. They won the Constructors' title last season with a fantastic pairing, truth be told. But 394 points, obviously we won't see the heights of those points this season, but I still think they could do quite well. However, it will be very competitive throughout the whole of the Constructors' standings. So it's more about how quickly, especially Arsenal, who came into the league at the end of season 15, can get up to speed with that Mercedes.
Indeed, right, so that is your first lineup. I'm moving on to lineup number 2 for the team who finished second place in the Constructors. What this is Alfa Romeo, and it's a very strong lineup in this team. Curtis and Cop 5 will take on the task of driving the Alfa Romeo. Curtis returning to the Alfa for season 16, and Cot, who proved himself to be a force to be reckoned with in the closing stages of season 15, joins him in the other seat.
Yeah, Cot has been an unbelievable talent coming in at season 15, with obviously Curtis, who has been there from the start of Alfa Romeo, so has done very well this season, very consistent in season 15. We'll be interested to see how those two will help each other, and I think we're going to see a lot more teamwork within these teams this season. I've got that gut feeling, which will be nice to see, especially with a lot less points on the cards. I think these drivers will have to work together.
Fair enough. Of course, we saw Curtis with a number of different teammates last year. Of course, the two in particular being Mr. TJ early on in the season, and then Nicholas Mayer coming in replacing him later on the campaign. So Alpha Romeo did a strong job last year, so I'm hoping that Curtis can obviously still try his best to lead the lineup, but of course he'll have the force to reckon with in COT 5. So we'll see how those two get on. Hopefully tensions will remain down over the course of the season. They can bring home another solid effort in the Constructors. So moving on now to your next team, Alpine, who finished 3rd place in the Constructors last season with a lineup of Grumio and Sniper Hunter, who unfortunately is not with us for Season 16. We have a new lineup in the team, that is PJ, Khalid and Ethan, making their move to Alpine. Of course, very strong combination of drivers, should be in there for another solid campaign.
Yeah, these two drivers were in the McLaren last season, finished on 170 points, 7th in the Constructors' Championship. So I think they're going to try and strive to get a little bit higher up than that this season. Granted, they were only 5 points off that Ferrari team, so very, very close, like we were saying. I'm excited to see these two together. These two work fantastic and are really good characters to have here in RDL. So hopefully they can see them climb up the ranks of the Constructors' Championship.
Definitely a fan favourite lineup. We're looking to try and improve on Alpine's position from Season 15. 3rd place, definitely nothing to shout about, given how, or nothing to be too sore about, sorry, given how the season, how close it was last time around. So we're hoping for another strong result in that respect. And pushing on now to Oracle Red Bull Racing, of course the reigning Constructors champions in real life, but 4th place this time around in the RDL Season 15. Your lineup for the Red Bull, Slazenger and Grovey. So one returnee, one newcomer over the course of last season, and those two should be set to tap the rankings after a very strong end to last season.
Both making their return and debut at the Singapore Grand Prix, where Grovey was fantastic. I mean, she made 5 pit stops, wasn't it? I think it's probably a record and finished. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but P5, yeah, I was going to say somewhere in the top 5. That's where she kind of made her mark. She was always in the top 5 for a very long run of races, I think, until Qatar. So Grovey's really took the league by storm, and Slazenger returning, picking up a win as well in Mexico, I want to say it was.
Incorrect. Las Vegas. See,
Las Vegas, damn it!
Man. Come on, listen
damn
to me.
it! I thought it was Mexico. I was so certain. Oh, Mexico was after Las Vegas. That's why. That is why. See,
yes.
I have some memory. They all merged together to me. But I'm very excited to see what these two can do. Obviously, Grovey back in the Red Bull, so she has the understanding of that car already. So hopefully that will be able to give a bit of tips to Slazenger on what the car's feeling, what the car can do, how far you can push it. And I think that will probably give them the strongest start to Season 16.
Without doubt. And of course, again, two very strong drivers in a solid lineup that could lead to some more points for Red Bull this time round. And now pushing on to the Williams team, who, despite coming home 5th place in the Constructors' Championship, put on quite a show in Season 15, with Websy coming home 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, runner-up to C110P fan. But this season, their Constructors' Championship hosts have taken a bit of a boost with a returning lineup of 6-time RDL champion Grumio and 4-time champion Landlord, who makes his full-time return to the Racist Driving League for Season 16.
Yeah, what a team that is, eh? Back together again, 2 very close friends and fierce rivals as well at the same time. 10 championships in one team for a Williams team. At the start of Season 15 was getting slated for how the car is set up right, how bad it was, to then go into a championship fight. Granted, it was the drivers, but that's fantastic. If Grumio can bring that consistency that we've seen in Season 14 with a record amount of pole positions, 13 to be correct.
18.
There you are, Statman. Bam it! I can't get the numbers right today. I'm fuming. I thought it was 13. Oh, I'm terrible.
Fair,
this is why, like I say,
I forget. We'll have to look at these stats later on and make sure we're all
this is why Zach's stat man, not me.
That's why I'm lead commentator.
Exactly. I'm just here for the analysis, but yeah, I'm excited. 10 and the singing, of course. 10 championships. Williams really do not need a bad start to the season. These two need to really just come into it, secure double podiums, maybe even 1-2s really, just to get that bolster of points at the start of the season. Remember, the calendar is long, and it could get even longer depending on when the next game's release date is. Obviously, with 3 tracks might be added to the end of the calendar. Very, very exciting to see what those can do.
Looking at the chat here, you're being told to fix up in terms of stats, man. So you better
Who's telling me to do that? Who's telling me to do that?
I won't say who it is. I won't say who it is, but You just remember it's out there. Anyway, we'll push on now. Halfway through the draw, and now 5 more teams still to come. The next one being Aston Martin, who come into this season with a lineup of JB and Lucky. Of course, very solid pairing in the Ferrari last season. Pope, they're now in the green machine.
Yeah, they're rivals in the Constructors' Championship last season. Aston Martin finishing above the Ferrari, so maybe that's a sign of the progression that these two drivers can take. Obviously, I've been speaking with JB, and he's detested a Ferrari engine, so I'm sure he'd be glad to be in the Aston Martin. I have a very soft spot for Aston Martin. I think they're a great team, and they had a great revitalisation at the end of last season with the introduction of Cott to that team and Slazenger. So, yeah, season 11 champion in that Aston Martin for its debut season here in RDL. So, it's my soft spot team. So, I wish them all the best.
Did you say Aston Martin for its debut season in the RDL?
Yeah, in season 11.
Oh yeah, you're okay. Okay, I was confused. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, now, yeah. How do you like them stats, eh?
In fairness, I wasn't there for that, so you can't really do that. Whereas you've been there for everything I've brought up so far.
Touche.
You can't beat me. You can try, but you won't. Anyway, pushing on then. So that JB and Lucky in the Aston, and moving on now to Scuderia Ferrari. Of course, I've spent a few seasons sort of going back and forth in the RDL order, but I'm thinking, Pope, this season their drive lineup could potentially kick up a bit more fight than they have the last few seasons. Nicholas and Imrie in the lineup. Again, a very strong lineup there. We've got a number of good lineups this season, Pope, and these two could certainly kick up a storm.
In terms of pace, I think these two are probably near the best on the grid. I think they're both fantastic. Nicholas on their debut, taking pole position in Belgium. That is a ridiculous thing to say. A ridiculous statement to have, and a ridiculous accolade to have from your first race in RDL, and picking up a win on the way as well. Maybe 2 wins, I'm not too sure. I'm not the stat man.
2 wins in terms of points. The first one was fully his in Monza. The other one was Abu Dhabi, which also had its finish, which we don't discuss.
Yeah, that's a.
But anyway, moving along, we'll keep the positivity up for this one. But yeah, very, very, very strong. Imrie needs to settle down, I think, is the only thing I would say for Imrie. I think fantastic driver, very fast, but Imrie was up and down last season. Highs of leading the race in Las Vegas to, I think, not finishing in the points. So Imrie just needs to settle down, and hopefully Nicholas could kind of help with that. Like, there's not a lot of pressure on Imrie this season because of Nicholas's just consistency from the start. So hopefully Imrie can learn from Nicholas a little bit on how to just settle down quickly, and if so, these two are probably the challengers to that Williams team, I would say. I'll be honest, I think just from what you're saying there, Pope, I think I probably have a bit more faith in Imrie than you do, to be honest, just by the sound of it, because to be fair, I've seen him in other leagues, because me personally, I know he's quick. It's been a bit of a rocky start, and perhaps joining mid-season may have played into that a little bit, but hopefully the opportunity to start from zero will give Imrie a bit more opportunity to try and sort of integrate himself further into the league, because that's something that it can just come down just to when you join it. So yeah, obviously I'm not going against your opinion there, but and I'm sure he won't hate you for saying so, but you know,
I think we agree. Like, realistically, it's just more of a fact of there was mistakes on Imrie's part, and for them to be ironed out, Nicholas needs to support that, as well as Imrie just taking that step up and just going, it's not all about the pace, it's not about, because Imrie was fantastic in qualifying, really fast.
You couldn't deny him.
Really fast, and that's what I said. On pace, these two are probably the top of the grid, but in terms of racecraft, settle down, these two can really mount a challenge here.
Definitely, without doubt. There's a number of teams who really could, but they're definitely going to be up there in Season 16. And moving on now to McLaren, who finished 8th place in the Constructors' Championship last season, looking for a resurgence to push them back to the top, and they've got the perfect drivers to do just that. The drivers of the McLaren will be the reigning Constructors' Championship winning duo of C110P Fan, your drivers' champion, and BJ. What a lineup.
Yeah, the two drivers which were obviously top of the field, cream of the crop, they say, taking both the Constructors and Drivers' Championship. I've raced BJ in a title fight before in Season 11. Daunting, definitely. He's a fantastic driver. Fan, obviously winning the championship this season. V2 moving away from the Mercedes, but keeping the Mercedes engine, so they know how the engine works, which is a crucial part to the game, and audio especially. It's nice to know when to have to shift up and stuff like that. That's something that I really, really like to know. Some cars I just don't really get along with that. But these two, can they keep the momentum going? You've got, obviously, starting from zero, there's no advantage now. These guys need to just keep the momentum. As I always say, these two are the best. These are the pinnacle teamwork. These two help each other in qualifying in the race. Every single time they can, they will. The other teams, especially now we've got a new point system, need to really copy what they're doing, just to try and nullify any advantage they have.
Definitely, without doubt. Of course, look, if I listen back to Fan's interview after winning the championship last season, I think he's somewhat of a belief that perhaps wasn't as well earned as perhaps other champions in the past of this league. Perhaps feels that he was more the last man standing as opposed to winning out over a number of contenders. Because of course Webster gave him a serious chase, but of course didn't quite get there in the end. The last race didn't quite go Webster's way. But Fan, do you see him being up there trying to defend the title? Because I do.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think most of the time you always have to say that whoever's won the championship in the first season has got a very good chance to win it in the second season. The game doesn't change. There's not too much evolving, but it's more about everyone's now caught up to where you are. And I think that's one thing I really struggled with in season 12 is everyone caught up to where I was. I just kind of got to understand it a lot quicker than other people, I would say, and which gave me my advantage. But I think for Fan, the racecraft's unbelievable. Like, seriously unbelievable. The alternate strategy has always worked out, and Fan needs to really back himself a bit more, I would say. I think you've won a championship in RDL. Like, that's a very, very hard thing to do, especially when you've got people who have won. We're on to our 16th season. 10 of those seasons have been won by 2 drivers. If you think about it like that, that's how mental it is to actually win one of these titles, and how hard it is.
Especially given the lineup of those that Williams team with 10 titles between them is quite insane. So I think anyone who can take them on and win is without doubt going to go down in RDL folklore. But we'll see. We'll see whether Fan has got the stuff. I think he's got the stuff to defend the title. I think Pope agrees with me. And Pope, what you were saying about the shifting and about the about what it takes to win the title, that's exactly why we have got you in here. Not for the stat, but for the expertise. All right. So don't doubt yourself. Either.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ars. That's very, very, very sweet.
I'm a nice fellow, personally. Anyway, moving on now to the penultimate team in our lineup. 2 more teams to go. AlphaTauri, the second to last team, will be drawing tonight. And tonight, AlphaTauri is announced with Che and Lycon in the 2 seats. Pope, could Che be back potentially? What do you reckon?
Che was fantastic in Brazil, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Won the final race.
Unbelievable. Obviously came back into the Haas team. Haas really struggled for the first part of the season. They did pick up a win in Monaco, though. Granted, it was a reserve driver. It was me.
Stop!
Oh, yeah. There you are. That is fantastic. That is great. You didn't expect that one in the team draw, did you guys? Bloody hell. What a difference to Pope commentary. But no, seriously, the Haas team really needed that pick up from Che. And I think if Che can start the season consistent, I think it's a very similar place to Grubio, where he just needs to get that consistency from the start. I'm seriously saying that this season could be special. This season could be very, very special, and I'm not saying that just because of the drivers, which I think we've got probably the best grid in RDL history. I would say. I think
I'll agree with you, if I'm honest.
The point change as well is just going to narrow everything down. Every race will matter. Consistency will matter so much more than anything else. As well as Lycon in that team as well. Yeah, staying in that AlphaTauri. Yeah, Lycon back in the AlphaTauri. Knows how that car handles, knows how that car works. Something that should never, never, never be like neglected in a driver at all. Having a bit of consistency through the team, going from season to season, does work. It helps a lot.
Definitely, Lycon one of 3 drivers to be in the same team as they were last season. Of course, yeah, Lycon's expertise in the AlphaTauri from the season will definitely be of use to both himself, obviously himself, and his teammates. So I'm seeing big things for the AlphaTauri team. Regardless of last season, they could put last season's finish behind them and focus on season 16, which, as you say, Pope, is probably the closest grid we've seen in years. It's definitely the closest grid I've ever seen in terms of my commentary, and I just can't wait for Bahrain, because it should be an absolute blast. There's not a single team on here that I cannot see scoring high points at some stage of the season, or even winning a race. Have we ever had a season where all 10 teams have won a Grand Prix?
Not to my knowledge, no. But I think if any season's going to happen, it's going to be this one. This one is. I'm very very excited for this. It's going to be so good.
But we still have one last team to draw, and that is the Haas team. And only one more lineup to be confirmed to the two drivers who have not been pointed out. So last season's runner-up in the driver standings, Websy, and the ever-consistent Courtney Goblin. What a lineup there as well.
Yeah, Websy, my driver of the season last season. It was just unbelievable. Like the racecraft's generally the best on the grid, and coming out of really nowhere near the start of the season to put up a title challenge, should be very proud of himself despite his age. Age is really proven to be an advantage for Websy. I know he doesn't mind me saying that. I do love Websy. And Courtney as well, who, not a qualifier, but a racer.
Without doubt,
definitely. Yeah. Obviously, I think this season might build a little bit harder for them, since obviously it's only the top 8 that will be scoring. And we've seen Courtney a lot in that 10-9 position whenever scoring points. So something, something to really bear that in mind of. Courtney might have to just push himself to just do one lap in qualifying. I think that will definitely help that team. And obviously, like we were talking about with Chabe, with Haas, picking up a few wins last season, most notably in Monaco. I think they really need a push. I think that Haas team. It's been a team that's kind of really struggled since the beginning here in RDL. From my knowledge, I think they've won one championship as a constructor as well. I'm not too sure on that, but really not a super successful team here.
Hopefully this will be their one. Pope, honestly, give me an honest answer. Do you see Websy mounting another title challenge?
It'll be harder this season for sure. I think the grid has just took another level up. But if anyone can do it through consistency, it's Websy. P6s, P5s, they will go a long way in this championship. A very long way, because after all, I'm expected to see a lot more aggressive fighting from these drivers, and I feel like it could lead into more incidents. Hopefully not, but I feel like when you get to the end of the race and you've got a close grid, I think 4 drivers within a second, that's how we've seen it this season, and they're all just going to try and fight for that one extra point. I feel like consistency will really bode true. I think that'll be the theme of next season, is who is most consistent.
Without doubt, and we'll start to find out who will be that consistent driver in Bahrain, which will be, look at my calendar here, on the 8th of January. So in just about a week and a half time at this point, because obviously we are on Mondays for the RDL. Now, before we wrap the stream off, then Pope, I do want to get your predictions for the drivers and constructors championship. Go me your constructors championship pick first. Who are you going for?
Constructors, it's a very hard one. I did say last season AlphaTauri would do very well. So, yeah, I feel like I might have a commentator's curse in this thing, but I think you have to. When you've got 10 drivers' championships together, I think you have to say it would be Williams. I really do. I just think it's very hard to say no to that. They've got over 50% of championships compared to season. Like, it's just ridiculous, those numbers. So I think constructor, it'll be Williams. For driver, however, I'm going to say it'll be Cott.
Oh, go on, give us your reasoning.
I've got that faith in Cott. I've raced with Cott before. I know I've known Cott a lot longer than I probably even thought myself to begin with. I've been going through the history of Pope's league racing and seeing that name Cott 5 appear quite a bit. But I think the way that Cott just came in end of the season and just hit the ground running, beating Grumio, fighting with Grumio, got that advantage already. Obviously, we've seen Cott not really perform sometimes, but still always getting points. And I think that's what's going to be crucial. Always in that top 8. I feel like, for me, that's what will give the advantage. So I think it will be Cott for the Drivers' Championship, Williams for the Constructors. What about you, my friend?
Okay, so I honestly, this is quite a tough choice. But I want to say Williams because it just appears like the obvious choice, given the strength of that lineup. However, I'm going to go for what may not consider an unlikely pick. I'm going to say Red Bull for the Constructors' Championship.
Nice. No, fair enough, yeah.
Because honestly, given how close this grid is, I honestly feel like it could be anyone, if I'm honest. And Slazenger Grovey, very strong towards the end of last season. If they carry on that form, Grovey causing the same car she was in last season, Slazenger with a win late on in the campaign. If those guys can hit the ground running and get some early points on the board, I see no reason why they can't go and do it. But as for your drivers' champion, provided that things outside of the racetrack go his way as well, and obviously he doesn't need to lead for any points, I'm going to go with Grumio to win championship number 7. Of course, 7, the magic number in motorsport. Doesn't exist so much in league racing, but that's because only in very rare circles do you see a driver win 7 league championships in one league. So we could be witnessing history at the end of the season, and at the end of what could be the closest campaign ever in the RDL, I'm predicting it'll be same man, same old story. Grumio is your champion. However,
I don't think you can argue with that. I think very good reasoning as well.
However, there's a ton of names that you simply just can't count out this season. Like if I go through the numbers here, like look at it, like both I can see both Ferraris, I can see Alpine maybe having a shout. You never know. I see McLaren going for it. I see Alfa Romeo going for it. I see Haas going for it. I see AlphaTauri going for it. Obviously, I see Williams going for it. There's a number of different teams here. Obviously, if I've let some of you guys out, then don't feel bad about that. But I'm just going off the top of my head right now, thinking of what I saw last season, because you never know. It's a new campaign. Anything could happen. Anything could go down. Oh yeah, obviously I see both Red Bulls as well going for the title. Hence, I put my money on them for the constructors. But it's anyone's game at this point, and I cannot wait to get things underway.
Yeah, it will be very, very good. I'm excited to see the pre-season testing as well. That's something that really just intrigues me. Obviously, I'm more of the technical side. I love being in the car myself. I love seeing people kind of get used to the cars. Obviously, we have pre-season testing on Monday at 7, like a normal race week. So before everyone goes flat out, we get to see people getting used to these cars, and that's going to be something so crucial. So obviously, I always try to attend pre-season testing myself whenever I was a driver, just because that change can be quite a big one. So it's always good to get used to that car and make sure your settings are right for it as well, especially camera placement.
Without doubt, we'll be in Bahrain in a few days' time for testing. Pope, should we stream it, do you think? What do you reckon? Do we stream testing this time?
I mean, I might be able to. If there's a seat going, I won't mind jumping in a car, to be honest. I mean, might see Pope in a car a few times this season. You never know. His wheel's back working, so.
But we all know for a fact he's not allowed Monaco. He's not allowed it because he has to suffer as I have done for many races in my commentary career. You've got to experience it, Pope, and I will not leave this league until you do it. All right? I will not let you stop commentating until you do it.
I just want him to do it so then you don't leave the league. Genius.
See, this guy's smart, you know. I like that about him.
I'm a very smart guy.
Yeah, well, okay, so potentially we may stream testing, or I may stream testing. Not sure if Pope will be about for that. Obviously, that'll be on New Year's Day. But then crucially, we'll all be here on the 8th of January for the first race of the new season. It's going to be an absolutely cracking one. Make sure you stick around for it. And if you are not subscribed, make sure to get subscribed right now and like the stream. Pope, should we do a word of the draw, do you think? A word for the season coming up.
Consistency.
That'll be the key to victory, you think?
100%. I think the new point structure will really bode consistency.
Alright then, well, consistency. Everyone go and put that down in the comments for the stream. Not the live chat, put it in the comments. And let us know what you think Pope's commentary will be like this season. And who's your pick to win the championship? Let us know in the comments. Because if we stream testing, there was something for us to go through. And we'll just get opinions of everyone around in terms of who'll be on top come June, July time when we get this season towards the end of the campaign. But we're looking at next week, or the week after next, sorry, for the start of the new season. Make sure to join us there. Thank you so much for coming to the team draw, and we shall see you then in the first race in Bahrain. Good night, everyone.